Welcome to the Sour Go-to-Market SaaS Takes podcast, where all your favorite SaaS leaders spill their controversial opinions while testing their taste buds. Get ready for sour candy with even sweeter insights.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Jason Hassenberg, and you're watching the Sour Go-to-Market's SaaS Takes podcast, the show with sour takes and even sour candies. Today, I'm joined by Tim Davidson, the founder of B2B Rizz and the Fruit Cutting Extravaganza. Tim, thank you so much for being on the show today. Let's dive in. We have 5 sour candies to go. We have sour Skittles. We have sour popping candies by Warheads. We have Crybaby Tears, Barnett's Mega Sour Candy, and to finish it off, Toxic Waste's Nuclear Fusion. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready now. I have to be.
Let's get going. I'll read off your first sour take. We can try the sour Skittles out.
All right.
ABM should be most B2B's go-to-market strategy. Tim, I'd love to have you elaborate a little bit more on this.
Okay, so the thing about ABM is everyone's overcomplicating it. ABM literally just means account-based marketing, which technically literally just means it's a more targeted approach to marketing because you're just targeting specific accounts or focusing your efforts on specific accounts. The reason everyone just thinks like you need an ABM platform or you just it's like a 100 account list and it's just like the enterprises of enterprises. I think it should be everyone's go-to-market strategy, not everyone's, but for the most part, because at the very least, you're just getting rid of companies you couldn't work with.
Yeah.
Your account list can be 20,000 accounts, and it can just be all those accounts that you can actually work with based off of an employee size or some sort of customer data point. It makes a good fit customer. And then you can do demand gen, you can do lead gen within that. You can do anything you like would talk about, or everyone loves to compare it to, but it's just a more targeted approach. And it's funny actually how many companies that like only can work with a Salesforce integration are doing demand gen and not have a specific account list of companies.
Yeah.
Of just Salesforce companies like that use Salesforce. I don't see the everyone's just overcomplicating it, and that's why no one really thinks of it like that. So like when someone says, "Oh, it should be your go-to-market strategy," no, it's only because you're just overthinking ABM. ABM is actually really simple, but everyone's just kind of like making it this weird thing.
Why do you think people are, complicating it and just not really focusing on what it really is?
The ABM platforms did a really, really good job of marketing. Very, very good job of marketing, especially Terminus back in the day. They made people think, you have to buy an ABM platform. You have to make it this overzealous type of strategy, but they just did a really good job of marketing. So now it's still stuck in everyone's mind, and then then everyone goes on LinkedIn. They say ABM versus demand gen, and then it just muddied the waters. So everyone just thinks ABM is this weird thing, but it's really just a different way to look at it.
How would you, let's say you're brought on to help run an ABM strategy. What are your, first steps when building that out?
The first thing you want to do is actually just figure out who are the companies that would make a good fit customer for you.
Okay.
Easily by just looking at your customer base, pulling a list of that, and looking for commonalities of what makes a good customer, but also what doesn't make a good customer. So oftentimes sales will be like, oh yeah, they're under 50 employees. Oh, they're this industry. We don't do well with government. Those are very easy things to say, okay, we're just gonna make a list that doesn't have government. It's not gonna have e-commerce. Let's say you don't do well with them.
Yeah.
It's not gonna have employees under 50. It's not gonna have 10,000 plus employees. You gotta be real too. Yeah, you want to work with Adobe, but the truth is a lot of companies don't have the setup for that.
Yeah.
So it's building that account list, because that account list is going to help you align with sales, going to help you align with CS, going to help you align with everyone. But building that account list is the first thing, because that's what you're going to go off your advertising, all your decision making, all your reporting is going to be based off of that.
What type of tactics are you deploying in an ABM strategy when it goes to after you build that list out?
So that's the thing. It obviously depends on your budget and who you're going after and your team and the size of your company. But that's the thing. Everyone just thinks it has to be this, you have to go get an ABM platform. You have to run display ads. You have to run on LinkedIn. You have to do all these things. It could be as simple as email. It could be as this is the list that sales is going to cold call and email, and marketing is going to advertise it to them on LinkedIn. You can still do Google ads where you can't, technically upload a list, but what it's going to help you do is focus all your sponsorships, all your events, the things you're going to do based off of this list. If you go to an
Yeah.
event that doesn't have anyone on that list, why are you going to it?
Good
That type of things. And
point.
it focuses you in, and it helps with your messaging, helps you really
Yeah.
understand who your customers are. And now I think about it, a lot of people just don't know who their customers really are. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, it could be the problem. It could be let's just get everyone, into our system, be a customer of ours, and then let them churn, right? I've definitely heard of that approach, especially when we were in the growth at all costs
Oh,
era, right? Now I think, like you're saying, because we're having to cut costs, we're having to become more efficient. Why would that leads us to the ABM route, right?
yeah, it just leads us to just a more focused route.
Yeah.
That simply as it is, right? And it just makes it more focused. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be accounts that you could probably close that are not on that list.
Hmm.
It can evolve. It doesn't have to stay put. But that's the other issue is everyone there's the fear of missing out on an account
Yep.
that
Yep.
would have closed. And yes, that's going to happen, but I can't promise. I don't want to promise anything, but I'm pretty sure you'd be much better off if you focus everything on that account list. That's going to evolve. You could change it
Yeah.
every month. You should be switching it. You should be looking at it every quarter, but it's just going to be much better targeted approach.
Love that. That kind of carries me into when you were talking about events, carries us to our second sour take. So let's pull out the popping candy warheads. In this bag right here. We'll open it up, and as we do it, I am going to say your second sour take.
All right.
85% of B2B event booths suck.
I haven't had popping candy in a long time.
It has to be like, I was just saying this maybe fourth or sixth grade. Like that was roughly around the time I was trying it.
Interesting feeling.
Yeah. Let me ask you now. What do you hate about booths? I know I see this on LinkedIn all the time. You're writing about it, but what are just some, not to do's when you're coming up with, with a booth strategy, or why did you even come up with this sour take in the first place?
Because, and it's not even like, the thing is, it's not even something you're doing wrong. It's almost like the company's the 85%. And when I get that number, obviously I'm a little bit exaggerating, but I went to 15 events last year, walked through all those booths, and it's pretty close to a lot of it. Uh, but it's more of like what they're not doing, or just terrible way of saying that. But basically, the 85% are just doing the same playbook that everyone else is doing. It's pens, it's shirts, it's giveaways, maybe for AirPods or something like that. And the problem is everyone else is doing that. And
Yeah.
it's just not. No one cares about the shirts anymore. No one cares about the pens. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I actually have a bunch of shirts. You should see my closet. I actually like the shirts, but not everyone does.
Yeah.
And there's too many, and
Yeah.
everyone's just doing the same stuff. The Yeti mugs and the probably going to be Stanley mugs this year. Just having people sit at the booth, trying to get as many badge scans. I've talked to a lot of people too, and it's just those badge scans don't go anywhere. And as a person that was at the events, talk to these booths, they got my email, they scanned me. I did not reply to any email, even if I was a little interested.
Yeah.
Even if I was a little interested. It's just, and again, it's not all of them, but a lot are doing the same things over and over again.
So from your experience last year, can you call out a few booths that you felt actually did do good work?
Yeah. So the theme of them is they either created content or they did something that was just a little outside the box that kind of attracted the right people.
Okay.
So one is actually it was ComSore. They did it was actually kind of like this, but it's Hot Ones, it was Hot Ones but for B2B basically.
Cool.
Their booth was literally they had the sweatshirts, the sweatshirts you've probably seen on LinkedIn,
Yep.
but they also in shirts, but they had a hot wing setup, so they had 5 different hot sauces, and they brought wings in, and their founder and he interviewed people while they did hot ones, and they interviewed speakers, and I did it, and someone else. There's a bunch of other people that did it, and they had a video camera crew. So they created content. They had a bunch of people seeing what was going on at the event. No one understood what was going on. They're like, "Oh, that's so like there's a bunch of people here. Why am I not
Yeah.
checking this?" And they were creating content that they can use well past the event, and they were talking about things related to, like, the founder was interviewing them. They was related to what they want to talk about. So
Yeah.
that's a way to, position it towards, your expertise or your kind of product too. And then other ones, I saw what I really like, and this is so simple, is the booths that maybe they're doing the shirts and they're doing all that stuff. That's fine. But like Chili Pepper does this a lot. But they also have a crew that walks around the booths, and they walk around to the people and they interview them and create content with them.
Yes.
So they get a bunch of content for after that. And then in Chili Pepper, they're a good brand. So they have like SDRs going out and they're trying to get meetings, and their whole, they have a scheduling link. So their whole thing is like getting meetings right on the
Yeah.
spot. So their SDRs they're compensated based on meetings. So that type of stuff works, I feel like.
Yeah.
So it's the stuff that just the theme there is obviously the content. But
Yeah.
it's
It's
just
content.
it sticks out.
It's funny you say that because like the event Melissa Gaglione did, right? Like where they did a content house or the house with Aligned. I think that might have been during Inbound. I forgot where it was, or SaaStr, when they did that whole content house. And I think there has been a uptick in thinking about how can we build an event, an experience where a big portion of that is actually generating content, right? And like I think I saw the Chili Piper when I think it was Arthur Castillo who was doing the questions, and I had a fear of missing out, right? Because I'm like, wow, I wasn't at that event. Maybe I would have been interviewed. Not saying I would have, but I wish I would have seen it done, right? And so when you're thinking about, okay, you have a sponsor, you have a budget, should I even be hosting or like doing a booth? Or maybe it's best that I go outside the box and maybe I create like a content house full of different content creators. Or do I spin off of that event and I create my own dinner where I'm doing 1v1 convos and we're shooting? What are outside the box ideas that you could give people?
Yeah. So my thinking on this has actually evolved a little bit. I used to say no boost, no boost. There is it just, especially if you're going on after enterprise buyers, there is a portrayal that you're a bigger company if you have a booth. And I think that's fair. And I think there is especially with customers and things like that, and pipeline helps with pipeline. I think there is uh something to that.
Yeah.
If So the question is, what I really like is these companies that would typically get the big booths,
Yeah.
$350,000 booths, the $1 million double deckers, and they're now getting maybe a medium and small booth, but also doing a dinner, a party, or
Mhm.
doing a content house or something like that. Or that is great. I think those perfect for those companies. Now, at the end of the day, not everyone can do a booth, a dinner, a party, a content house.
True.
The only thing I would say about the content house is you need the right people, because that is hard to put together and execute if you don't have the right team to do that. And a lot of companies that just don't. They can pay someone, but if they're not like actually a part of the company that's in the house and doing things, it's going to be harder.
Yeah.
ideally you could do that if you have the right kind of relationships and the right people. But I think dinners in part, I think dinners are probably better than maybe a party as well, just because you can invite the right people. It's usually more it's usually 10 to 20 people. It's a little bit more what's it called? Just intimate. And if you have
Yeah,
the right host, the host I will say matters, but if you have the right host, they can really do some good stuff at the dinner in terms of conversations.
a good follow-up question for this because you did walk 15 events. Now, what's your decision? Say you have a budget and you're like, okay, I need to sponsor some events, but I also need to walk some events. Um, how are you making that decision if you're in an event, manager's shoes?
Uh, the true answer there is you have to, because as I was doing event planning for sponsors this year before
Yeah.
I left Directive, I was looking, the truth is the answer is depends because every event has wildly different prices.
Yep.
And so you can go to a SaaSter, but the lowest cost booth there is like $70,000.
True.
It's a great event though. Don't get me wrong. Do not get me wrong. It's probably worth it um, if you do the right things. But there's also events where you can get a booth of the same size for 20,000. And so
True.
your budget's gonna be wildly different there. And then obviously, if you do a dinner in San Francisco versus New York City versus I don't know, Austin, the dinner prices are probably gonna be a little different. Um, so that's a tough question to answer without really understanding the prices of each booth. But
Yeah.
I would look at how now, just to give an example, just from what the events I went to, so this is like B2B marketing and sales events.
Yeah.
I would say SaaS is a great one to walk around with. Dreamforce, I probably wouldn't go this year. It brings in a lot of people, but if you're going to do it, I mean, you definitely don't want to get a booth. I mean, unless you're a huge company, it's really expensive. But the doing like a dinner or something around that's the play, I feel like, for Dreamforce. HubSpot Inbound, I didn't go. I went for like the partner day, but that'd be a walk around for me right now just because I really want to go. Um, what was the other one? There's a couple of B2BMX is coming up. That one can go both ways. It's in Arizona. Um, Booths aren't that expensive, but they're not cheap.
Yeah.
Airplay is probably good there. Oh, that's a good one. It's tough because their tie-in here is that some of these allow you to do speaking opportunities, which is huge. Like
Yeah.
it's a really tough question. It really depends on the kind of like the resources you have too, in terms of like people.
Of course. Of course. What are some events that maybe they're new events that are on your calendar? What are you looking at for this year when you're thinking about allocating your time?
Yeah, this year's a little different because I'm on my own, one person. I don't have the big budget anymore, the big spending budget there to go to a bunch. Right now, I'm going to B2B Max and Spring in Austin. Spring by CXL. It's an interesting one just because it's a little different kind of event. It's definitely more networking. It's intimate. They do these round tables. I really like the round tables.
Yeah.
DMAX is a great one too. That's more of like your classic kind of event. I think HubSpot Inbound. Excited about just because I didn't get to go to a full one anytime. I
Yeah.
haven't been to a full one yet. I've heard really good things. Um, and then I do like the pavilion ones. Those have been pretty good. The go-to-market ones. Um, there's so many in September and October, which is really annoying. You can't go to all of them.
What do
It's
you
really
think
tough.
about Golden Hour? Because I've seen some things
Oh, is that the new one?
in
By
Brooklyn.
Audience Plus.
Yes.
That one's interesting. One day, a lot of good speakers. Luckily for me, it's in New York City, so I might. It's like I live in New York, upstate New York, so that's not. It's like an hour flight.
Yeah.
Uh, that one could be interesting. Truthfully, I don't know. I mean, it looks interesting. They got good speakers. Audience Plus people do things really nice. It's one day. I find that interesting. Uh, just because I feel like the first day is usually kind of people are just flying in.
Yeah.
So there's a little lag time. It's usually the second day where everyone's there, no one's leaving yet. Then the third day, everyone kind of leaves.
Hmm.
That'll be interesting to see though. I'm very interested in that. I haven't decided if I'm going yet, but it's interesting. It's an interesting one.
For, you know, for people who are watching who are, let's just say they're in a startup, they don't have that much budget. They're wondering what should they go and walk to. Are there a couple pointers you can give them to decide which events they'd go to? What you're looking at, what insights are you seeing, what characteristics?
Yeah, so yeah, from the outside look, what you want to look for is who the sponsors and speakers are, because for the most part, those should be aligned with your company, right? If the sponsors are, if they're buyers or marketers and salespeople, then that'll probably align to you if you're marketing to sales and marketers. Speakers, same thing. They should be kind of aligned. That's how to look at it from the outside looking in. Obviously, you can ask the event,
Yeah.
but just look at the sponsors, and then even kind of reach out to the sponsors. They're usually the people that do the sponsors. They're usually, they'd love to talk to you. Um, the bigger, I would say nah, I actually think the ones that are bigger are better to walk around in
Okay.
because the booths are usually more expensive, but you're still gonna have a bunch of your buyers there. And if you have the right person or the right kind of mentality, I think you can still get a lot of value there.
Yeah.
The smaller ones are going to be, not as expensive, and you can just get more. I think you can just get it's more intimate, so you can get more conversations or do something a little bit more innovative,
So
like
a little
creating
bit of a
content.
hybrid mix, right? Try to get to some of those bigger events, try out those
Yeah,
smaller events,
yeah,
somewhere in between.
yeah. If you just do one, the problem with the big events is if you just do one big event, that's going to be the big event you do because you're
Hmm.
not going to.
Not gonna have any budget for the rest.
I
That's
can, yeah, I think you still get a lot of value from going there, though. That's the
yeah,
good thing.
of course. Yeah, and you gotta have a plan when you show up too, right? You can't just show up and with your luggage and okay, I'm just gonna do whatever, right? Like you famously created signs, right, last year, and was that something that you just came up with on the spot, or like how did that even how did that idea come about?
Yeah, I mean, so I didn't make up the meme. Someone else made up the New York City guy that he made up the meme. Uh, but I stole that obviously, I'm definitely probably not the first one to ever do it. I actually did see someone at Dreamforce doing it, which was interesting. But I actually went to one of the B2B marketing and sales exchanges in Boston in August. And it was the first event I went, it was one of the first ones I went to when I started having these kind of ideas, and I just started testing things. One was the cardboard sign holding. One was dropping fake money with like it looked like 100, and it was in a casino, so it was kind of funny. Well, I guess people didn't really like it. That's why I didn't continue to do it, but it had like a note in it when people picked it up. Um, I tried something else. And there was something else I tried blanking out. Obviously, it was not memorable, but the cardboard sign hit by far the most. And so I was like, okay, let me try the next part. And then I just kept doing it every event, and it definitely had the most engagement. Then I started testing things like, cut fruit, like fruit cutting interviews with people. Those tend to get some, good engagement on social, and so I go on with that, and then things like that, like creating content and just trying different things that way. But yeah, it came from just one event. I wanted to test some things
Yeah.
because I wasn't sold on booths, so I was like, all right, let me see if I can do some, 2023 type of do more with less
Yeah.
activities.
Well, and I think that came off as like around LinkedIn, I think people really understood like, wow, okay, maybe we shouldn't be spending 70K on a booth. Maybe we can think outside the box. I do think, at least for me, that was something that when I saw you doing it and I saw how much publicity you were getting, it was like, wow, people actually like if you had someone holding a sign up just at the gate or whatever, they're getting more eyes on that than some of these booths who have these huge, infographics and like they're not having, especially if you have a small booth at a big event, right? It's hard to
Yeah.
say.
Oh yeah.
So I appreciate that. Thanks for all that advice there. We'll go to your sour take number 3. This time we're
Yep.
gonna do the crybaby tears. I'm gonna have all four. Totally up to you what you'd like to do. Ready when you are.
Well, I already went.
A lot of B2B companies buying processes suck.
Hmm.
I'll let
Yeah.
you win on this one.
It's just true. I don't know what to say, which is so true. We it, it it's just funny. Sometimes you go to try to buy something and you just get ghosted. Sometimes it takes 3 calls to get a demo. Pricing pages that have no pricing. And I want to be clear, I don't care if you have pricing on the website. I actually don't. I'm not a pricing warrior. Some people are. I'm not. I do care if it says pricing and it has no pricing, because that's just kind of, to me, it's kind of like you're pumping up the air in your bike and then someone just comes by and slashes it.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm excited for this, and then it's just not there. Because I literally had an executive say, "Hey, how much does this product cost?" Because they saw that there was pricing on the page, on the website, on the navigation. Send me the link, no pricing. So it's just so annoying.
Well, and
Um, go
why
ahead.
what's the philosophy? Why is there this like breakdown in the buying process, right?
Yeah, there's some of it is just old school mentality. Um, just it's the way it's always been.
Get
There's definitely some of that. Some of it I can understand it. And my obviously thinking in this has evolved a little bit. Um, there's technologies nowadays that help with like lead routing. So if someone comes to you and there's a reason they can't have a scheduling link because they they need to route the lead now, whether it's because of territories or an AE, that a senior like a enterprise AE versus an SMB AE. I can understand that. But there's technology that happen that you can do that like lead routing for. But I know everyone's data is not good. So there is like things like that. So like lead routing, it can be an issue based on like the sales territories.
Yeah.
There's also companies that have a lot of, they get a lot of leads and they're not all good leads. So they have to filter them out. And so they need to have the SDR. So and the SDRs, whatever the process is, they don't give pricing in a demo on there. They want the AE to do that. And it's, fair or not. But the reason they have a lot of leads is just because they need a lot of leads, and it's oftentimes they're driving, bad leads. Not all companies. Some companies don't. It's not, or they're just doing like kind of gated content, which is whatever. Um, I think there's just also, I really do think a lot of it just comes down to it's just the way it's always been. I
Yeah.
really think.
If you're walking into a place that is like that, right? The leadership feels it's always how it's been, and how are you going to convince them
You
that
don't.
that you don't?
If someone says this is how it's always been, and they can make a decision, if this is someone that knows it's always the way it's been because their leader says it's always the way it's been, and they don't have a authority to fix it, that's different.
Yeah.
But if someone tells you that and they have the authority to do it and they just keep it, I don't see a way to convince them otherwise.
Yeah. Until
No,
you see,
but
go ahead.
I was just gonna say there's what I would like if you wanted to make a shot at it, I would look for data on, so if they have whatever their process is, let's just say for this example, it's SDR and it takes 3 calls to get a demo and pricing or something like that, and the AE comes on the second call, but they won't do a demo. They need a sales engineer. Like there's like that classic process,
Yep.
no scheduling. The the idea you could pitch is, what if we route half the leads to a different way, and so
Yep.
maybe they right to the AE and they get demo and pricing, and the other half go to the what we're doing right now. And then what you can look at there is, all right, what's the lead to SQL, lead to MQL, what lead to pipeline rates, how long does it take, things like that. Look for those kind of metrics.
Yeah.
But if they're set in their ways, it's gonna be tough.
I do like that A/B test. I think that's a smart way of going about it. I mean, if they have any sort of reason not to, obviously people who are stuck in their ways, they're going to go with that reasoning, right? But
Yeah.
for you, it's this question I have is just when you're thinking about the buyer process, and like there's nothing more frustrating than trying to get a call with someone, then you need a product and you know you want to buy it and then it doesn't happen. Has there been a time where like I really want this product? You go on there, you go to get it taken care of, you try to see the pricing, and then it just go through this whole rat race and you're like, you know what? Screw that. I'm not gonna buy the product actually. Has that happened to you?
Yeah, I mean it has. I don't think I had spite at it. I think it was just more of there's a competitor and it was just easier to do.
Yeah.
It wasn't like this is the product I 100% want. I need to have. I'm not going to buy because of that.
Yeah.
There's always just been another option. So I haven't like been that spiteful.
Yeah.
And if there is something like that, there is what I have done. And I've actually done this and it does work. I will say it probably works. It depends on your title and it depends on who you know. Like I knew a person that was connected to an AE that worked there. Basically, I just instead of went through the whole process of like, hey, I'm looking at this product. Can I just get a demo? And I just basically skipped the SDR.
Yeah.
Um, and they were completely fine with doing that. I think that is an option actually. If you just DM an AE on LinkedIn and say, hey, I don't want to go through this. Can you just help me out? Can we just get on a call? I think some AEs would do that,
Yeah.
especially if you're the right title and decision maker. Obviously, it will depend on that. If you're not the right buyer, they're probably not going to do it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it's just it's just more the competitor was just easier choice. And it just wasn't
Yeah.
like a big difference. One thing I just want to mention because I know everyone's probably thinking this. Buyers are also at fault. I've been a buyer that has ghosted people, and I feel really bad. And it's not because I meant to. It's just got busy, and then things happened. So buyers are also at fault too. I do want to mention that it's not just
Yeah.
sales.
That's a good point. And I have to go back to this because I think the SaaS space, it's very, very there's a lot of competitiveness going on, right? There's 10 different options for one same solution. And so like if you're going to make it hard to find pricing, hard to, get on the phone, it almost psychologically you almost think, okay, they must be hard to deal with, right? Like customer service must not be great, right? And you're almost thinking to yourself, like you said, like should I just go with the competitor? It made it a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean that's a good point. I never even thought about it. Yeah, maybe that's just their. I wonder how. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. I wonder how customer success would be
Yeah.
if that.
Yeah, there hasn't been any test, but we might have to run something there. We'll go to sour take number 4. This is known to be the most sour candy. Um, it's number 4 because on the level rank that have it ranked on, it's lower. So with that being said,
Right.
Barnett's Mega Sour Candy. Here we go. I'll read off sour take number 4. I'll cheers you on this one, mate. Yep. Cheers. There is still so much room for new creators on LinkedIn.
Mm.
Now there's a lot of space there's a lot of space on LinkedIn. It definitely feels congested. So for you
Mhm.
to say this, definitely a sour take. Would love to hear your opinion. Ooh.
Yeah, I think some people. It depends on who you talk to, I guess. Um, I just think there's yes, it's more crowded. Reach on LinkedIn has decreased by a lot for a lot of people, including anyone that has like, a number of followers, especially the ones that had a lot of followers. Um, there's still so much opportunity though, because for the most part, it's LinkedIn and it's B2B. So you don't need a big following. You don't need a big, reach or anything because you only need like a few buyers, really. You think about it. Your account, the accounts that you want to work with are pretty small overall, and you can still make a huge impact with the comment sections if you have a point of view. Maybe the posting, I think you still should. There's still a lot of people that have low follower accounts, low reach, anything that the right post, you know how to get people talking on there. You can really it can get you 50 likes, which is really, really strong. Like
Yeah.
really, really strong. You just need a few of those for people to kind of notice, and then you start seeing like the snowball effect. Even today, there's so much opportunity because the comment section, I think, is actually the biggest opportunity because of that. Even if you don't post, the comment section there's a lot of people looking at those comments for everyone. It's like really crazy.
Yeah.
Actually, it's really, really crazy.
I wish that LinkedIn had some sort of like I know they have a posting tool, but I wish they had like also like they comment, right? Like in their LinkedIn Sales Navigator, because that would be a great tool to see because I'm willing to bet, 20% of people on LinkedIn post, but there's at least 50 to 70% who are just commenting, right? And that's a great way to get in front of people. So I think of you as a LinkedIn influencer. You have a pretty big following. How do you start that up? If you're someone who's just brand new to the game, or maybe you're a leader in a SaaS company, but you've never really took on LinkedIn, how do you start?
Commenting just in general.
Yeah, how do you start? How do you up your game to eventually becoming maybe not an influencer per se, but let's just say to join the community? Because I think of LinkedIn and the SaaS community, you have to pay to play. You have to play, pay to play, right? You have to get in there. You got to spend some time. So from your standpoint, if you started brand new, you wanted to get the position you are now, how would you start that journey?
One, you gotta it's gonna be commenting and posting. I know I mentioned comments is a big. I think there's a big opportunity there, but I think posting is still too. Not because you're gonna get a lot of reach, which you will if you keep doing it, but I also think it helps you uh understand what you want to talk about. I
Yeah.
think it's a big component no one really thinks about. But I would just, it sounds so silly, but I would just post like as much as you can once a day if possible. And I didn't always think that. I actually thought people would get burned out because I've done that. I posted for when I first started, like in 2018, posted for like 30 days, got burned out, didn't see the traction, quit. And I didn't do it for like 2 more years.
Yeah.
But I think the reason to post every single day, if you think of it like this, is a good idea, which is you're gonna figure out what you should be posting about and build that kind of muscle of like creating. So if you just figure out, you're at the end of the day, you're gonna have like 5 things you want to talk about, and you don't know which one's gonna be, kind of valuable to people unless you post a lot about those things and figure out what hits or doesn't and what people engage with and don't. That's how you're gonna actually learn that 50 likes versus of like just plain people that have no impact on it. It's just like a Tony Robbins quote
Yeah.
versus like something that gives you like 10 likes but like 50 comments or something. That's an exaggeration. Like 10 likes, 10 comments, and like a DM that's
Yeah.
more thoughtful. That type of thing you only learn by actually doing it over and over again. So I would post every single day based off the things I want to talk about and but you need to have a point of view because that's also going to carry into your comments. That said, those things can be learned over time as you post and comment because the comments will actually give you feedback on what people like or disagree with, but you need to comment with something that's actually thoughtful as well, so not just nice, agree, that's great, congratulations, fine if someone's got like something new,
Yeah.
but the comment with either a something that goes against the post or gives a new idea or questions something, make a joke. It's got to be something that's going to be a little different for it to matter. And
Yeah.
then once people actually once you actually do that, people will actually kind of give you the validation by the likes, by the things like that, and that'll help you understand the pattern recognition of what is working and what's not. But you have to do it over and over again. That's the problem.
Yeah, I was just talking, I forgot who this was. It might have been Zoe Hartsfield, where it was like, how many months did it take you to figure out what you actually like to post about, right? Like, because when you're starting off, you post, as many posts you want in a month. You don't really have, you're not tracking these types of topics. But for me, after like 3 months, I realized, okay, I like talking about mental health. I like talking about physical health. I like talking about events. And for me, that's when it started to click. And I'm like, okay, now I know what I like to listen to. And I've gotten a well following based off these certain topics. I'm just going to lean heavier into that. And I think that's what you're saying is you have to experiment. You have to be repetitive in order to really figure out what's going to work best for you.
Yeah. But it should all, I mean, for the most part, it should be rooted from something too.
Yeah.
And so, like, it wouldn't make sense for me to talk about sales. Just wouldn't,
Mhm.
right? So, marketing is what I talked about. My background's in paid ads, paid advertising, LinkedIn, Google ads. That's what I started off by talking about. And then it's evolved, obviously, right? And that's what happens over time.
Yeah.
Um, but how long it takes to get there, I don't know. I don't think there's a good answer because if I even think about the last 2.5 years, when I started really posting consistently, my talk tracks have drastically changed. Not drastically, I guess that's a bad way to say it, but they have changed. And the things that have, even some of them are newer, right? The
Yeah.
events, I didn't talk about events until maybe what, 4 months ago.
Hmm.
Those things expand too. I think it's just one. It's just this is gonna sound so corny. It's just life. It's kind of just like life, where
Yeah.
it continues to evolve, or it should at least evolve. You're
I
always
like,
gonna have. Don't get me wrong. You're always gonna have the hits, but
yeah.
it's gonna evolve because there's so many things going on.
Let me, this is more of a personal question. For you, like, why do you show up to LinkedIn every day?
Oh, I'm an endorphin junkie. I love the likes. It's freaking amazing. No, I mean it's changed my life. I started the business because I have people that in a community now, basically, right? I have a marketing community. It gives me validation ideas. I like the creative process. It I I love getting better too. So I love getting better at a craft and figuring out new ideas and creative ideas and figuring out what's working and what's not. And I love that stuff because it also goes into the work I do, which is more on the like for clients like LinkedIn advertising, but that a lot of those ideas actually come from, things that I posted and people liked or didn't like, or I saw, good traction on or didn't see good traction on. So those things all play together. So I think it's just like, it's the best for me in my world, in my business, in my kind of things I do. It's the best way to test things
Yeah.
without spending a lot of money on them because it's just time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Let me,
Really, honestly, that's the other part. The amount of friends I've made just from like LinkedIn is crazy.
I started, I think 9 months ago, maybe a year, 9 months ago. And yeah, it's changed my life too. And I think I know so many more people who have been there and done that I could lean into now and ask questions. And that's been definitely the most fruitful part of my journey on LinkedIn. And I don't consider myself an expert. I'm definitely not, but I know people who are. And I think that's one of the most important um assets for me being on LinkedIn is like, okay, I don't know paid ads. I can go to I can go to Tim. I can ask Tim. I don't know how to do this. I can go ask, whoever. And I think for most people who are thinking about LinkedIn, they're thinking about the deals that they can close and a lot of the business results, right? When you're on LinkedIn, okay, use it to get leads, use it to get this, but there's also this personal development that comes into play, right? And you just mentioned that in itself. And I think what's important to highlight, but how do you, when we're thinking about more of the business development, how are you using LinkedIn to drive business for yourself?
If I really think about it, the it's the network I've built. So like I'm not running any ads right now for the business. I'm not doing anything like that. It's just people have only booked time because they knew me on LinkedIn, or they knew of someone that I was referred to because of the person, and all these connections that I only worked at one company since I've been in
Yeah.
B2B. If I really think about it, I only worked at one company. So all these connections I made from LinkedIn, and some of them just from when I worked at Directive too, just from partnerships and stuff, but for the most part, just from LinkedIn. But the other side of it is I know I can get business by creating content about what I do, but not in a salesy way. I'm terrible. That's not my thing. I'm not gonna throw a call to action out there.
Hmm.
But if I post about my point of view on ABM, my point of view on LinkedIn ads, the data, something like that, because of the pattern recognition over the last couple of years, the things I know work on how the position, the headline, the pictures, the videos. I know what's going to resonate or not. Not always, but for the most part, I know the kind of framework behind it.
Yeah.
Uh, that's going to help me drive awareness. It's not the same way I can post something and say, "Oh, I'm going to get 5 leads from that." I don't know.
Yeah.
You will. I don't know, but I do know if I do that consistently over time, it's going to have a huge impact.
Are there any other social media outlets you're looking into right now besides LinkedIn? And maybe there's dark social, and are you exploring that? Is that even a thing? I mean, I don't know,
If
honestly.
that's I will say YouTube's been in my mind for a long time. I keep putting it off. I'll put out some, longer form videos here and there. Um, it's just I know I can spend more time on LinkedIn, and that's
Yeah.
the problem, and having an immediate impact, which is obviously scary because I'm still only pigeonholed into LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot more on TikTok and try to venture out into Instagram and things. I still might repost something I put on LinkedIn, but the time I spend on TikTok is very, very low now. Um, I I just realized after I was, trying TikTok and LinkedIn at the same time, and Instagram and sometimes Twitter and whatever. I just realized, or I was YouTube Shorts too. I just realized I could spend more time on LinkedIn and have a much, much bigger impact.
Yeah.
It's scary because I'm pigeonholed now. If LinkedIn shut down tomorrow, I don't know, I'd be pretty screwed, to be
Yeah.
honest.
I think we all in the SaaS world would be, right? It's kind of crazy,
Yeah,
how dependent we are on LinkedIn. It's a crazy tool. I never would have thought that my life would revolve around it as much as it does,
yeah,
but it's impactful. And I think when you have this business case that you're using it for, while on top of it layering in the personal reasons, I think that's how you actually escape the um being burnt out feeling, right? Because if you're only doing things for business reasons, then you're burning out for sure, right? It's just extremely hard to do something you're not really passionate about, that you're not really getting any personal benefits from. But when you flip
yeah,
that and you're doing both and you're getting personal benefits, you're also hitting your whatever it is, your MQL goal, or your revenue goals, all of a sudden it becomes more of a fun experience. And that's what I think LinkedIn's done a very well job of, in getting people to actually um reveal things that are more personal than just being business focused.
yeah. It's getting there. There's still the warriors that say this isn't Facebook, but it's getting there.
True. Are you on the Warriors side? What side are you?
I'm on the. I actually don't pick sides, to be honest. I don't pick sides at all. I mean, I posted personal things. No, I'm definitely not on the this isn't Facebook side, but
Yeah,
I also don't pick sides. If someone puts something on there, I'm all for it. Post your babies, post your whatever you got.
yeah,
Um, I have no problem with it. If I don't like it, then I just scroll through. I don't care.
yeah. What as we move on to your next sour take, what's one tip that you could give just anybody to use in their LinkedIn journey?
I think one underrated part, and this doesn't it's it doesn't technically mean you need to get personal on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
but you should show your personality. I think that's underrated. Um, because as we were talking, like, oh, LinkedIn could shut down. It can, and we'd all be screwed. But I also think everyone in B2B would go somewhere, and we
Yeah.
all have the skills that have been active on it, have the skills to do it somewhere else. And I think the personality part is actually a big driver of that because LinkedIn's really the only place you can, except for Twitter, but not even that's not even good, is where you can really just thrive off a text post.
Yeah. True.
Everywhere else, you need pictures and you need videos, and videos is like obviously become a huge thing. But if you, I think all that, the personality, if you can show off your personality, I think that makes a bigger impact than we know. But I can't, I also can't quantify that either.
Yeah.
But
I,
you think it matters a lot.
yeah. I think it's funny you say that because like I know that I'm all text. I besides this podcast, I've pretty much released all text posts. And when I do release like a picture, it'll do pretty good. But for some reason, I just don't want to hop on a video all the time and do a video. And I think that's the beauty of this tool and this platform is that it's kind of accepting to all different types of content. Um,
100%.
right? And I think it's funny because when you go to an event with your event, like your poster, and you're sitting there, a lot of people see you. So when you go on use it on LinkedIn and you post a picture of yourself holding something up, all of a sudden two and two works together, and it's like a lot of personal brand awareness. So I think that was a smart tactic by you too, right?
Yeah, it was, and it's funny. I don't even know if a lot of the interesting part is I don't know if a lot of the people that were at the events saw it on LinkedIn. Some definitely did, 100%. But a lot of them were actually there. There was a lot of people that like stop and just take pictures because it's a little different.
Yeah.
Uh, and then they'll like some will post on LinkedIn, not a lot, but some will, they'll say, "Hey, I just sent this to my friend or my coworkers on Slack or whatever that is." But I think that's the beauty of why I also do it for the social stuff. I think that's where the bigger impact is
Yeah.
actually. Yeah, there's gonna be people that see it at the event. But there's also a lot of people that said, "Hey, I was at the event and I didn't see it, but I saw it on LinkedIn." That's awesome because I literally cannot stand there for 5 hours and hold it
Of
either.
course. Yeah.
So I think that's the special part of having both.
Yeah.
Um, and I think you need both
Yeah.
because there is that recognition. I think it's an interesting take.
You brought a you bring your humor to the situation, right? Too. Like you said, like you need to have some sort of just as like our products, there has to be differentiators. Like as a person, you have what you think about, you have your emotions, and then you have like your who you are. And I think that not many people are actually going to I my hope is that people take this advice and they say, okay, I'm just gonna be myself. I'm just gonna go out there and comment and leave some humor. Like Julia Carter does a great job of leaving her humor. Tyler Washington, right? There's some of these younger creators that are just coming off the bat swinging, and it's like, okay, like why are they ahead? I've been here for a year. I think because they're actually not afraid to just be themselves. And if they get some backlash, they get some backlash. And more than anybody, when you're doing something great or doing something new, there's going to be backlash. There's going to be people who say, oh, you shouldn't do it this or do that. Um, and when you're in that situation, you kind of know you're doing the right thing.
That's exactly right.
Sour take number 5. This is our last candy, the most sour candy of the day. You seem to take that last candy pretty easily, Tim.
That wasn't bad.
Wow.
There was some stuff to it, but it wasn't too bad.
All right. Sour take number 5. B2B doesn't need to be so boring. I see you
Yeah.
post about this all the time. And
Well,
I laugh every time. I
no.
laugh every time because I love your takes and I can kind of picture you saying it and I'm like, so Tim, why?
No,
Why is it so boring?
no. Um, I actually think it's very much so similar to the buying process. A lot of it, there is this is the way it's always been done. Just the classic, standard corporate talk and way of doing things. But if you think about it, I think B2B is just still stuck in its ways. So if you think about like 15 years ago, not even 15 years ago, to work in business, everyone thought you had to wear a suit. Just think about that. Everyone thought you had to wear a suit and tie to work. It's only been 10 years, 15 years where people actually started wearing sneakers in the office and things like
Yep.
that. Or any type of shirt or no collar or whatever you want.
Yep.
That I think B2B is just stuck in that kind of mindset. And so a lot of the messaging, a lot of the messaging, a lot of the things that people are doing are still in that mindset. But I think what's even worse is the mindset's held at the top for the most part. Because if you think about the companies that might be doing something that's not boring, it always stems from the top. It has to come from the top.
It has
That's
to.
the only person that has the real decision making, right?
Yep.
Because if you are if you want to have fun within an organization that's out, you can have fun in the office and all that stuff like Zoom calls. I'm talking about more of like the marketing, the sales motions, things like that. If you want to do that stuff, but the executives say no, then you're not gonna put risk your job for it, right?
Of course.
A lot of it does come from there, but it's also in a lot of that mindset is either the old school mindset or it's safe. There's that saying, no one ever got fired from buying IBM because it's safe, right? There is those things that people want things to be safe. They want to be risky. They don't want to, do the wrong thing. And so they're stuck in the ways of the old school. Oh, IBM did this. They made a huge company. Microsoft did this, and there's a huge company. That's why you see all this messaging that's like really terrible. And it's all like the same stuff because no one wants to, even though they want to stick out, they don't want to stick out too much. And so it makes it hard because the people that want to make a change, they don't want it to be boring. Either they get shut down, or to do that, they have to do it on top of what they're already doing. So the stuff they're already doing, which is the classic stuff. So if you wanted to like split it, right? It's like, oh, let's try boring messaging versus not.
Yeah.
You still have a goal or a mess. You'll still have the priority for the boring stuff, that the tried and true. We're not going to go crazy, but we're just going to stay the path. You have to spend your own time, resources, whatever that is, your mindset, and get criticized on the other side. It's just not worth it.
Yeah, it's not. It's truly not. And it brings us back to that same question, like, how do you change an organization to be more exciting? Like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a company that has gone from being boring to exciting. I don't know. Do you have any examples? I don't know if I have any off the cusp.
Um, I I don't pay attention like that, unfortunately, because I don't know if they were boring before,
Yeah.
like the ones I think about maybe of fun.
Yeah.
I do think a lot of it does come down to the people. And so the other side, what I mentioned, like all these, it comes down from the executives. The other side of it is the executive, maybe they're not boring, they just don't know what to do. And
Yeah.
so if they let someone else do it, that's fine. They're not going to like stop them. The first example was the kind of the worst example where they actually just like stop all the on boring stuff.
Exactly.
There's definitely companies where maybe the founder, the executives just aren't they don't have the personality or the know how where to make it a fun kind of environment for their buyers or whatever that looks like to you,
Yeah.
or make a fun video campaign. But if you hire the right person that can help you do it, they can help you make it a fun campaign that sticks out and it's creative. So there is that way. So there's probably those. I just don't know them.
Yeah.
But I think that's actually one of the biggest areas, just hiring the right person that can run and project manage and has those kind of chops to be fun and thinks outside of the box.
Yeah, it's like there aren't that many people in the world that can do that right now. And I think that's a hot, like really hot job right now for a lot of people, is to find those ones who can think outside the box. Like Obaid from Hockey Stack's a great example. I think he thinks outside the box, right?
Yeah,
And
I think that's a great example because
yeah,
the Amir and the founders, I know them. They're awesome people. They're not like they're great at what they do.
yeah,
I don't think they're the right people to take the hockey stack to the level they have with Obaid,
yes,
right?
yeah,
Obaid was the hire that helps them do that. I think they do have ideas. Don't get me wrong. They are awesome guys and they have
yes,
ideas and stuff. But I think Obaid's really good at executing on those.
yeah, yeah. And when you see the revenue actually get impacted, and you're like, holy crap, this campaign, that's when you start to get even more buy-in, right? And I'm sure you've been a part of conversations where that's taken place. Um, what's one of the like what's one of your favorite campaigns that was run? Maybe it's this year, last year, where it was like that's really not boring and that's actually really cool. In the B2B space.
Hmm. I mean, I do like what Obaid's doing. The whole series they got going is very interesting. But let's think here. Uh, I'm so bad at this because I don't really know a lot of them. Oh, jeez, this is terrible. Who was it? Who was it? I forgot what company that did it, but they made a video of their bad reviews. I'll just find it. I think they made a video of like a bad review, and oh, you know what? Here's an example. ClickUp.
Okay.
ClickUp's a pretty good example because if you go on their YouTube, if you go on, I think this is all run by I think her name's Melissa. They had a chief creative officer. She just left though. But I was getting ads all the time, and there was ads of a Yeti, someone dressed up in a Yeti costume, slamming the desk in an office, or doing old school kind of lawyer ads, and they were just like mocking their competitors. Like that kind of stuff was very fun. Like they were
Yeah.
making. I know they had like in-house production and stuff. Like they had fun videos that were just outside the box.
Yeah.
ClickUp, I think, is a good example of that. Yeah, they just had. I remember screenshotting the Yeti one. Like that was just a good one because it was just really fun advertisement that went with who they are. But it was just really it stuck out, and you can see all the comments on those ads too, right? Like
Yeah.
they definitely.
I think like one that sticks in my head just because we're right around Super Bowl area is like Gong's Super Bowl ad. Like
Yep.
it was good. Like it was just funny. Even if you weren't in B2B, you kind of understood the concept from the ad. And I think people who are taking it like that, it carries a lot of weight. And it definitely makes you feel like the people inside the organization are really like hitting their head on, like they're right on the nail, and they're for some reason it just has a psychological effect. Like, oh my God, they're doing this. Just type of Coca-Cola ads, right? Like some of these Coca-Cola ads, I don't even drink pop, but they're like,
Mhm.
holy shit, those people in Coke, they're really got something, right? And so they got some secret sauce. So like same with Chili Piper. I think there's like these companies who have they're right on the cusp. They're creative. They're thinking outside the box, and it makes you feel like you need to be a part of their journey. You need to be a part of that company. And so, yeah, I just think I'm with you on this. I wish B2B companies, more of them, would think outside the box and would go the unconventional route.
I think more are though, which is the good thing. It's still overwhelming uh, under majority. It's an overwhelming not majority. I don't know how to say that, but
Yeah.
it's there's still a lot that aren't, but it's definitely getting there.
The
It's
cost, sorry to cut you
sorry.
off. The cost of producing something, right? It was dramatically, it's expensive before. Now people are getting their own, homes. They're creating in their own house. Like, I hate to use the example again, but Tyler Washington, right? Like, people are starting to just hire content creators. Comsor hired forgot what her name is, Renee from Lavender, right? Or
Great, yeah. She's an
I
editor.
yeah. And so I just think people are actually going out and they're saying, okay, we're not going to hire an agency to do this. We'll go and find the creator and bring them in-house. So to make it less boring. So I think we're getting to that point.
Yeah, I mean the phones are wildly under. They're, everything I do is on the phone. It's phones are the best thing for video right now. I feel like they're the mobile first phone video recording
Yeah.
is just the best thing. The
What's
phones
your
are really
yeah, what's your tech setup if, just for people that are listening, what do you use? Your phone? That's it?
so
Lighting?
I have lighting. Yeah, so this is my real phone. This is
Okay.
actually like a iPhone 12. I bought the 14 like last year as my camera because I was running out of storage basically. Because I
Yeah.
also do my editing with CapCut. It's a video editor app. I do that on my phone, so it really got the storage. So I actually have a fancy camera. Bought the phone because I like it better. I like the transition from that to the editing.
Yeah.
I did not like using the fancy camera to upload it to my MacBook and all that stuff.
Mhm.
I just use my phone. I mean, in my office, I do have lights. But for like when I go to events or if I do any of the stuff I like to do, it's usually just phone, and then I have like a mobile mic. It isn't the one I use, but it looks like this.
Are you creating a script beforehand, or are you sometimes just going into it like you have an idea and you're just like, I'll figure it out as I go?
Yeah, there's it. I go a couple different ways. I would say the usual one is just like an idea, and so maybe I'll have bullet points, and so maybe it'll just be like a sentence, which is the topic of it, and then I have like three bullet points of what I want to talk about, and then I kind of just riffed on it. And my process actually helps me not have to create a script because I'm editing on my phone. So when I start recording, what I end up doing is talking about something, edit, and then so I'll like record half of it, edit, and then I'll record the next half or add in things I needed that I
Love
just didn't
that.
have,
Yeah.
just because of it's just kind of how I started doing it. I think it's better because I always have ideas after when I'm editing, or like, oh, I could have said this better or something like that. So I just re-record. It doesn't take too much time. And then sometimes I'll have like a light script. If I script it out, it just sounds, scripted. Uh, so sometimes I have a light script, so it's more than three bullet points. I'll have like some talking points. Especially if I do two different characters, for each character, I'll have different talking points.
Okay. And when you started off, did you know anything, any editing, or was you just got into it?
No, yeah, I mean I look. So this is my process pretty much for everything, which is interesting. I just started doing it. The editing, you play around with an app or you play around with a tool or something, and you just kind of figure it out. We're all grew up with tech now. We just start figuring things out, and then you get obsessive. And so as you put out a couple videos, you start going on YouTube and watching tutorials on how to use CapCut, and then you start watching videos of other people that you see have videos, and you start saying, oh, how do they make that edit? How do they do that? How do they do that? Go to YouTube. How do they do that? Oh, let me try this. Oh, this is how you do it. And then you start figuring out all these different ways of doing it. So it's like that. I have an obsessive personality where I just start obsessing about one thing,
Yeah.
figuring out how to make it better. And then over time, it's just kind of like second nature.
Yep.
But Yeah, these apps are very easy to edit these days. You don't need Photoshop or like anything like that, or whatever the equivalent is for video editing. It's crazy what you can do.
To end this sour take journey, I'd love to hear just a couple, I'd love to hear a little bit about B2B Rizz. What are you working on? What's the value there? And little call out.
Yeah, well, plug. I am terrible at plugs. So B2B Rizz is my new company. Started about a week ago. I think, yeah, launched a week ago. Today is January 29th. It is a ABM, account-based marketing with LinkedIn ads consultancy. Consultant being me, just a one-person company. I'm not trying to scale this, not trying to build an agency or hire people. It's quite frankly a lifestyle business. I want to do great marketing, build cool stuff with great teams, and have 4 or 5 clients and just do really good work. It's the reason it's ABM with LinkedIn ads. My background is in LinkedIn ads. The go-to-market strategy has been account-based marketing, ABM, for Directive when I led marketing there, and now it's in LinkedIn was a huge driver of that. And every time I've done it for clients, whether you had an ABM platform or not, LinkedIn ads was always a huge distribution platform and where the results were. So going all in now.
Yeah, I'm rooting for you, Tim. I met you in person in New York, and it was a great conversation we had there. And you told me that you were going to be doing something special, and so you have a fan of in me, and I'm here to help in any way I can. And for anyone listening, you can follow Tim on LinkedIn. Watch some of his fruit cutting videos. I'm sure you'll get a good laugh. You can follow our podcast on LinkedIn. You can follow me on LinkedIn. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys all for tuning in to this episode, and I hope you'll tune into our next one. So thank you again for coming. Have a good day.
Yep.
Thank you so much again, man. It was a blast getting into this. Hope you have a great day yourself, and it's awesome to start this on a Monday.
Heck yeah, man. This is awesome. Great
Thank you,
job.
man. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to the Sour Go-to-Market SaaS Takes podcast, sponsored by Sales Intel, TAC, The Juice, Rev Genius, and Hockey Stack. More bite-sized content is available on our LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.